Hello and welcome to the Claret Blue podcast, sponsored by NordVPN. All the information that you need for Nord is in the description down below, including a tasty discount code. Somebody asked in the comments, what is the taste of the discount code? And I said, it's just delicious. I think it's 40% or something. I shouldn't guess the details, but click it and you'll find out. I'm Dan Rolinson and I'm joined by Pete Hitchman today for a special podcast this midweek between the West Ham and Arsenal games to talk photography, something a little bit different for us on the channel, but something that I'm really interested in. Pete, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Good. Okay, welcome to our Birmingham office.
Thank you.
Very quiet today.
Yeah.
We're going to go through this in a couple of stages. For those that are watching, there are some photographs on the table in front of us, which we're going to go through one by one in a little while. But you've also got a photography book, a photo album. How would you describe it?
So it's a photography book. There's a bit of a background to it. If I take you back to the Brighton game, May 2023, you know, the whole place was buzzing, wasn't it? We'd got rid of Gerrard, Emery had come in and worked his magic. There was a real kind of buzz about the place. And I came away from that game and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to take my camera down next season. We're back in Europe, there could be some good away trips. It was looking like we had cause for optimism. I probably wasn't as optimistic as you. I think you had us down for top four, didn't you? But
I don't like to mention it.
But yeah, it felt like something good was happening. So I thought, I'm going to take my camera down, and I'm at the time I called it a self-photography project, and I was going to kind of document the season. I'm a season ticket holder, don't get too many away games, but season ticket holder. And at the time I didn't really have a long-term plan with it. As I say, it was a self-photography project. I think it's important to say I'm not a professional photographer. Like there are hundreds of better, more talented, more qualified, more professional, more experienced photographers with better kit as well. And there's no kind of press accreditation with any of the stuff I do. But what I wanted to do, and what I think I can do differently to those professionals, is do it really from a fan's point of view.
Yeah.
And it's kind of in with the fans and the pre-match rituals and all the things that happen at a game that many of us probably just don't really think about, but actually they happen every week, and they happen the same way. You know, you go to that same burger van, and you don't go to the 150 yards down the road because you've gone to that one for 20 years. It's that kind of stuff.
Because the press photography will be sat kind of touched on the touchline, they're taking photos of the game, all the match photographs that we see.
Yeah.
When you're sat in the stands, firstly, you don't have that perspective, especially if you don't have the kit with a massive lens to capture those stuff as well.
Yeah.
It's the pre-match stuff, it's the atmosphere stuff that the professional photographers, they're not there for that. They're there to snap 100 photographs of Pau Torres and 100 photographs of Leon Bailey.
Exactly.
So your stuff is so different to theirs anyway. But I was expecting this podcast to be, I was going to say, you know, geek out on camera settings and all that kind of stuff. I'm really open to do that. And you're like, oh, I'm not into that at all.
Completely self-taught. You know, there are techniques that I know, you know, and I use, but I'm by no means a professional here. So it's more about the way I capture it and what I capture than necessarily the quality of the photos. It makes me really uncomfortable when people say it's the best photos from Villa Park, because they're not. You know, there are people with telescopic lenses that are getting better photos in that sense. But so then, I guess fast forward to now, I followed through last season, and what I was doing was doing a gallery of each game, putting them on social media. People started picking up on it. They've got loads of nice feedback. People seemed to like what I was doing. And obviously, as the season got better and better, and the Villa got better, and the ambitions got higher, then it kind of snowballed a little bit. And I had a message towards the end of last season from a Villa fan and designer, a guy called Matt Caldwell, runs his own design agency in Bristol. And he said, look, would you be interested in doing a book? Because I love what you're doing. I see it every week. If you're interested, I'd love to get involved. And I'd kind of had a few messages from people saying, oh, these would make a great book. You know, you should do it at the end of the season if we make top four and all of that. And I was kind of like getting closer. Are we going to get to Athens, and are we going to get top four? And yeah, that's where we are now. So we have just launched a book that's available on pre-order. It follows the season through. We've done it as a pre-order just to kind of keep the cost down, so we know a little bit more about how many to order, because this isn't a professional project again, as it was. It's a passion project, exactly. So what that does mean is that you order now, you get it late October by the time we get to print. 152 pages. There's well over 100 photos all through the season last year. We've tried to make it kind of like a real high quality hardback coffee table type book, so it's the sort of thing you can pick up and look through. And we're really pleased that we're doing £5 from every sale to Birmingham Children's Hospital charity. So
nice.
They obviously don't need any introduction. We all know the good work that they do. So yeah, that's where we are. It's really exciting.
Some story, isn't it? That?
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'm just genuinely blown away. Like, I've had comments from people like Denmark, Canada, Australia, people who don't get to Villa Park, and they say, oh, this really makes me feel like I'm there, which is kind of what I wanted it to do. If I had sat down at the start and said, this is what I want it to feel like, I want it to take you to Villa Park on a match day or a European night, you know? And hopefully if you buy the book, you go from start to finish of the season, and through the book, that's what you will feel.
It's street photography, isn't it? Essentially, it's going out to. I'm going to this place, and I'm just going to capture what I see. And the ones we've got in front of us here, there's one. We'll talk about them properly in a second, but this one shows the players. We can all see this, and there'll be loads of photos of this.
Exactly.
But this one of this older fella and the one with the hand tattoo. That's just something that you've seen in the moment and thought, right, I'm going to snap that, and they make for great photos that give you a feeling of what it's like to be there, rather than here's a photo from a series of
and that's what you mean. Even things. This one here, you'll see that, but actually what you'll see is a guy here with a zoom lens straight on Bartol's face. You know, this was we'll come on to it, but this was up next to the Villa fans. I'll explain. I wasn't in with the Villa fans, but I was next to them. So that's essentially the view that the Villa fans had. So.
Okay, so we'll give you a link in the description for anyone who wants to pre-order the book.
You.
I'd highly, having not seen the physical thing, but I've seen a lot of the photos, I would highly recommend it. Like you say, a coffee table book is right, the right way to describe it.
We're doing a hardback.
Something that we could maybe have in the studio once we're all set up as something we can kind of flick through every so often, that kind of thing. So you can get the book in the description down below. As Pete says, £5 from every sale goes straight to Birmingham's Children's Hospital as well, which is a great cause. So we've got 8 photographs here. We'll start with this one in the middle of this guy losing his mind. We're talking about like feeling and emotion.
This is probably the longest story. I won't go on, but
what I will say very quickly is that for those that are watching this on YouTube, we'll have these as JPEGs up on the screen so people can see them in their kind of full quality as well.
So these aren't Villa fans, these are Zrinski Mostar fans.
Oh, okay.
And the story behind this one, so as part of this project, what I was keen to do was to, especially once we were back in Europe and we knew that different fans would be coming to Birmingham and watching the Villa, I wanted to kind of, I guess, almost experience their football cultures, get in with them and meet different people from around Europe that follow football. So for every home game in Europe, I was down in Birmingham with my camera, essentially mixing in with the away fans when they were in town before the game. All, met some really nice blokes, just genuine, and women, just genuinely football fans, in the same way that we went out to Lille and Amsterdam or wherever else and had a great time, they were doing the same back here. And I've been doing it with your friend of the pod, James Rushton, and I met 3 guys from Zrinski Mostar in the Dragon Inn in Wetherspoons in Arcadian. It was a hell of an afternoon. and we had a great afternoon, we were talking football, travel, all the geopolitics of Bosnia. It was brilliant. We had a great time. And they said at the end, as they were going off to the game, they said, "Are you coming out to Mostar?" And I'd actually booked flights because I wanted to visit the place. I knew it'd be a hell of an experience, but knew I wouldn't get tickets. I'm not an away fan. And then they went, "Oh, don't worry about that. You come in with us. We'll get you tickets. We'll sort you out." So this was as they've equalised. It was quite late on, wasn't it? This is as they've equalised. And they went absolutely nuts. We were in with myself and James and another guy, Jamie. We were in with the ultras, essentially, down the bottom with the banners. There was a lot of Villa fans up the top who were in the home end, but we were down here. They just had the night of their lives. They drew with Aston Villa, which they're only a small club. They were translating the songs for us, and one of them was "Tonight we play Aston Villa, it's our dream, we don't want this dream to end." That was genuinely one of the songs we were singing, which James has written about.
I'm sure there were some less family friendly ones.
There definitely were. But this is a great moment of, like I say, in the moment. And almost to a certain degree, I kind of wouldn't be able to get this down the Villa because I'd be celebrating myself. Because this was a Zrinski Mostar goal. I managed to get right, and I wasn't necessarily celebrating it, although I was maybe slightly more neutral that night than I normally would be.
A bit more careful.
So that's a classic example of the type of in there that, as I say, the professional photographers aren't necessarily getting in because they're focusing on the players.
Yes. I'm going to go far middle. The lion on the edge of the Trinity Road stand with the flares and the flags.
Yeah.
Just, if you look at that photograph, you just think Aston Villa straight away. Lion, claret and blue, flags. This is from, I don't know what game, but when fans are welcoming the coach.
This was Olympiacos. And I actually had a message from this girl who saw it on Instagram, and she's on her friend's shoulders, and she messaged and said, "I'm really sorry, I've ruined your photo because I'm in it." And I'm like, no, that's exactly what I wanted. If you weren't in it, it wouldn't be the type of photo that I want and that is included throughout the book. So yeah, that was a really nice one.
For when you're capturing them, you said you're not an expert in terms of settings and stuff like that, but you obviously you're feeling something, you want to capture something that you're seeing in a nice way. What about kind of post production stuff? Would you, let's say that there was, I don't know, somebody in the background where it was, I don't know, fighting or something, would you think, it's a great photo, but I need to get rid of that person, or I need to get rid of that thing? Would you do anything like that?
I haven't gone that far. I'm self-taught on Photoshop, so there's an element of post-production, but I haven't gone as far as what I would call rightly or wrongly manipulating photos. I haven't taken things out. I might crop something out, but I haven't necessarily gone to that length. It's more just editing the shot to make it maybe slightly more impactful. Like this one, we'll come on to it, but there's a steward stood
so
about 3 millimeters to the right. But
understood.
But no, I wouldn't. I think it adds to it. I wouldn't crop her out because that's part of it's part of what that photo was.
And that's the creative process, isn't it? Just deciding whether to,
and when you're there in the middle of
like
it as well, there's smoke going everywhere, and there's sulphur getting in your mouth, and there's these guys at ground level, and then every now and then there was someone on the shoulders popping up.
Nice. Okay, we'll move on to, let's do the Villa tattoo, the round badge on the hand.
So tattoos feature quite heavily in the book.
You got any tattoos? You said,
I have, but not Villa ones. But I love it when you see a new Villa tattoo that isn't necessarily a design you've seen before. And because we've all seen a lion on the arm or whatever. I saw this in the pub. It was in the Witten Arms before the game, and I couldn't get over it. It's enormous. This guy's got big old hands as well, and it covered every little piece of his hand. And this is everyone's favourite badge as well, isn't it? You've got that, you've got the sheer scale of it, you've got just the age of it, you can tell it's all fading with it. And then to top it all off, I asked him for a photo and he just pulled his sleeve up and this big gold watch just came out from underneath his sleeve. So this was, again, just a thing that happens in the Witten Arms every week. He's there probably, and he's got his tattoo out. Exactly, There was a couple of other ones that are in the book. So one was Lil away. There's 3 lads. I saw them all standing together having a can in the square, and each one of them had a lion on the calf, and they were just all stood in unison.
I think Ashley Priest has got the lion on his possibly on his calf.
And they were just all, as I looked down, I just saw all 3 of them in the shorts in the sun with a lion out. So that one's in.
What's the kind of ratio between unplanned photos and planned? Planned's probably the wrong word, but like you've asked him to show you that rather than just capturing something naturally.
To be honest, there's not many where I've asked. There's 1 or 2 portraits where they're looking at the camera, and just because I've seen them outside the ground, they look interesting, there's got something about them. But most of them, the vast majority are like the guy that doesn't know I was taking a photo at the time. I've spoken to him afterwards, and I'll come on to that. But they're just unplanned, unrequested street photography, as you say, essentially.
All right, let's go with this one next.
This one,
the fireworks at Villa Park. What a lovely photo that is.
Do you know what? I think this just sums up. This was Ajax. I think if you'd have said to me 5 years ago we'd be playing Ajax at home in a European competition, with fireworks going off the top of the Trinity Road, we'd have all laughed, wouldn't we? And I think this just sums up the journey we've come on, I guess. I can't remember what game it was when they first did the fireworks, and it took us all by surprise. I think it was a league game.
It's definitely a league night game. I feel like it might have been one I wasn't at.
And it took us all by surprise. So
it's a bit like, woo.
Yeah. And then obviously, so then after that, every night game, I was like, right, what can I do that's new for the fireworks? So this one, I sit lower Doug Ellis. So this is obviously coming up. And I think this just shows, essentially, if you're walking into the game late, this is what you see, isn't it? You see those videos of dad's taking their sons up the steps for the first time into the bowl.
You get that feeling from looking at that, like something's going on in there, but I'm a little bit behind schedule. I'm not in my seat, like watching it, kind of thing.
And you're about to come in and watch us on a big European night against Ajax. Like,
nice.
What a joy that
is. There's a lot of press photographs from those, whether it was the first game or the ones that came after. I think it's probably the ones that come after, because the photographers know that this thing's probably going to happen again. That are like in the for stadiums like that, they're in the corner by the corner flag, and it's a wide angle of the whole stadium and the sky, and it looks great. But again, such a different feeling to what you've captured with that.
And you know what? That's the only time I've ever seen. We talk about the professionals with the press accreditation doing the job pitch side. These fireworks did the only time I've ever seen Villa's club photographer Neville Williams up in the stands, and he comes and he stands behind us to get that shot. But like you say, every other time they're pitch side. That's the only time I've seen him up in the stands getting a different perspective. You know? Because he's got a different job to do. That's not his brief.
Of course, Let's go with this one next then.
This is one of my favourites.
So talk me through this. You said that he wasn't aware that you took it, but you spoke to him since.
So this guy sits in the block next to me, and I don't know how old he is, to be honest. I haven't asked his age, but he's got to be 80 odd. And I was trying to remember last night. I'm really ashamed. I think it's Michael, but if his family or if he happened to be listening and that's not right, then I'm really sorry. But I think it's Michael, and he comes every week, and he just looks majestic. Like he's honestly, he's so smart every week. And so this was Hibbs. This was him looking at the North Stand, and he's almost got tears in his eyes. I think this was the start of the European journey. And he was just having a look around, soaking it all in, and I got this picture of him. And I've spoken to him a few times since. He's in the block next to us. And I said to him, look, tell me about, you can't really tell on his photo, but he's got a claret and blue shirt, he's got a claret tie, a claret V-neck jumper, his whole bubbly scarf and this hat. And I said, tell me about you, unless it's burning sunshine, he wears this every week.
I knew you were going to say that. That's the thing that I knew why this was a standout.
He wears it every week.
Everyone who's watching this, who's been to a game and probably as a season ticket holder or someone that goes most weeks, will recognise somebody like that who sits near them or in the block next to them or whatever. And they always wear the same thing or the same hat, and they go, oh, there's that guy. I don't know anything about him, but I know he always comes.
Exactly,
and that's this representation.
That basically is the book. It's those moments that you sit next to him, you said hello to him for 20 years, but you don't know what his name is. And if you saw him outside of Villa Park, you probably wouldn't recognise him. But
he's not wearing his costume.
Exactly, yeah. And that is, in a nutshell, that's why I love this photo, because that's what the book is. It's kind of, yes, it's the great moments that happened in the season, but it's also those little moments that happen every week that are part of going to football. I heard a really good quote recently that football's much more than 90 minutes, and I think that's essentially what the book is. It's the burger van before the game, it's sitting down and getting your seat, it's walking home after the game, it's the journey from Aston Station to Villa Park, walking under the flyover and seeing Villa Park. It's all that kind of stuff. So, and I said, I asked him, I said, tell me about your stuff he's wearing, and he said, well, this tie is from Vic Crow's testimonial in 1963.
Oh, bloody hell.
The jumper was just a claret jumper and a bubble scarf. The hat, he said, he found in the gutter in 1965. He cleaned it up, and he's worn it to pretty much every match since. Wow. And I don't know how many people have been going down the Villa since 1963 and are still going now, but I bet not many of them wear that tie, that's for sure. He's just, but really nice bloke as well. And as I say, I've been chatting to him. He takes his granddaughter, and some really nice photos in the book of him and his granddaughter just basically just hugging after the goal, moments that make up going to the football.
And that's that nice familiar feeling that when we all go back to Villa Park on Saturday for Arsenal, where you go, there's that guy, there's that lady who I've seen for, like you say, for many years, and don't even know their name, but they're my Villa people.
Exactly,
that I see every week.
You see them every week,
Okay, we'll go with this one next. This was
Nottingham Forest 4-2, and I've chosen this one. I kind of, when you asked me to pick out some good ones or ones with stories, I've chosen this one because at the start of the season, when I thought of doing a project, so I didn't really have a long-term plan at that point, but I thought I'd follow the season with my camera, and my concern was that it would get a bit samey. I kind of thought, I'm going down every week, and actually there was an element of for a long time we've suffered going down the Villa, haven't we? It's been a chore at times, and there was an element of I wanted to make match days more interesting. So for me personally, by taking my camera and spotting things, and as it happened, we didn't need that because of the season we had. But that was kind of the. But I was slightly worried that it was going to get samey, that everything was going to be walk to Villa Park, do the game, walk away.
And you're sitting in the same place.
Sitting in the same seat, yeah. And actually, I think this is a really good reason why, because this is February, Forest at home, and this is the only time of the year when you get the sun on the Holte End like this, just about to set. This side of the Holte End's in darkness. This side of the Holte End's in the sun. So I think there's two parts to this. That's one of it that just shows that actually if I'd taken his photo in October, it wouldn't be the same shot. But also, you've got the Holte End, the 12th man. You've got all 10 outfield players celebrating a goal without a single opposition player in shot.
Yeah, nice.
It just basically just sums up the season, doesn't it? The feel-good factor of the season.
Yeah, pure Villa, everything in that photo.
Yeah, there's always a debate, isn't there? Do you sit in the Holte End because it's the Holte End, or do you sit and look at the Holte End because of how amazing it is? And obviously I do the opposite. You don't necessarily have the flexibility these days to choose which you want, but
it's got its benefits not being in it because you get to see it.
Because you get that view, especially with a camera.
Okay, right, we've got two left. We've got the Lille away game, the penalty shootout, and we've got one of Mr. Unai Emery as well. I want to save the Unai one till last, so talk me through this Lille one, that moment.
So this is, we talked earlier about how the professional photographers have got a brief and they'll get one shot, and there's a shot of them all lined up that's taken from over here somewhere.
Yeah, I'll stick that in if I can find it.
And that is the shot of that game.
Yeah.
But this, as I say, what I try and do, the only thing I can do is to give a different viewpoint with the best camera that I can get into a football stadium, apart from anything else, because you can't take a big lens in. And so I was at Lille away. I was in with the Lille fans because I'm not an away ticket holder. I don't get to away games. So, but actually, I managed to get a ticket about 4 seats away from the Villa. So the fence with the Villa fans was here, and I'm in undercover. And there was a few of us dotted around. There's a guy called Jack who I've got to know since he's involved in the 1897 group, who I know you've done a lot with and doing great things to get the atmosphere going. So he was a few rows behind me, and I've got a couple of shots of him literally just essentially hiding in plain sight in with the Lille fans. And there was no bother, everyone was friendly as long as you're sensible. But so this was obviously was the last one a save, or did somebody score for the Villa? I can't remember.
I can't remember. I remember. Mad, isn't it? Like the details of the football aren't really that important, but I remember the feeling of
which sums up the book essentially. Yeah, I think it was a save because I think Martinez then ran off and they all went and joined him. But so this is obviously the moment it happened, and there was a little old French lady in front of me, and I thought I was doing a terrible job of covering, that I wasn't French, and she turned around to me when we all thought Martinez was going to get sent off. I didn't have a clue what was going on. Yeah. And she started gesturing to me and saying things in French, and as though I guess she was saying he's got to go, he's got to go. And all I could do was just go oui, and just pretend I was French, But luckily, she obviously didn't have a clue because it worked. So yeah, we were all. There was a few of us, as I say, we were all kind of sat on our hands, and it's a night that, well, no one that was there will forget it, but especially those of us that were just the other side of the fence. It was trying to keep that emotion in. I think Matt's talked about it, hasn't he, with his son at West Ham before. Trying to keep that emotion in is a weird feeling.
Yeah, I don't think I could do it, to be honest.
Yeah. But yeah, I got some really nice shots of from up the top, and then obviously when they all came down and celebrated in front of the Villa fans, there's some nice stuff there as well. So that again, that's all in the book. All
right, let's talk through this final picture then. We've got Unai Emery. I'm going to kind of do a bit of guesswork around this one. So this has to be the final home game of the season because it's dark. Yeah. Emery does not applaud the supporters anyway.
Exactly.
So it has to be the last game. We've got the Up the Villa flags. There's a blue one at the front and a Claret one as well. People are taking videos on their phone. There's a hint of the new crest and the Adidas right in the middle on the sponsorship boards. It's everything of the Villa last season kind of peaking, isn't it? Of
that's what everything came up to that Liverpool
led
game.
Up to this, and not to be too kind of A-level media about it, but it all comes down to this guy as well, doesn't it? Everything that's led to these photos actually being good in terms of the football that you saw during it is because of one man kind of leading this club back to where we belonged.
And actually, that fits really well because the narrative of the book, although it follows the season, it's I didn't quite get to every single game, but it follows the season start to finish, and this is exactly the feeling that you'll get from the book. But we've kind of interspersed it with Emery quotes through the season, and there's some really good quotes. Basically, I mean, John will tell you this, every interview he starts by thanking the fans, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And there's some really good little nuggets that we've picked out that just show, like you say, it's all down to one
these
man.
photos are great and this book could be great, but if this was a season where we finished 15th and there wasn't really anything going on, there's only so much like the photography can take you. It's the feeling of what you're capturing that's good as well. And this guy.
And there was a point when if we'd have finished 5th, I don't think I'd have done the book. I don't think it would have quite had the same. It wouldn't have been the historic season we've just had.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping we'd get to Athens and that would be the finishing point. Well, we did get to Athens, but for the final,
the proper Athens.
Yeah, the proper Athens. I was hoping that would be the culmination of the book. By that point, we'd kind of got the plans in place. But no, it was, as you say, this was it. This was the moment. And then Palace away, which was just the party, wasn't it? But again, this is, I keep saying the same point. I don't want to repeat myself, but this is a shot that the professional photographers aren't getting because they're on the pitch.
Yeah.
So we got the flags, as you said. You got these guys just absolutely worshipping him and filming it on his camera. The kind of Holte End and the lower Doug Ellis together, and like you said, Dan, you don't see him applaud the fans, do you?
No, that's what makes
he
it more
doesn't
special.
do that, and he was ramping up the Holte End as well. I don't know if you remember, but he was, he was giving it some like you've never seen him before. So.
What a guy.
What a time to end as well. There you go. Finish on Unai Emery.
And that's the excitement that we've got. Obviously, we're filming this between the West Ham game and the Arsenal game, so we're already kind of off to a better start than we maybe anticipated, which already feels great, doesn't it? We did our Q&A on Monday and somebody asked, because we've won at West Ham, what if we win at Arsenal? Does that change our season expectations? I love that it's potentially 2 games in and we're going, maybe not 4th, maybe more than that.
Can we win the league now?
It's crazy, isn't it, what football does to us? Just run me through one more time where the book is available on your social media and all that kind of stuff.
So it's AVFC on camera, which is Instagram and Twitter, or X as we now call it.
Or Threads, maybe?
And Threads, as well.
So many social media these days.
Just started actually. I followed the migration. There seemed to be a big Villa migration over. So AVFC on camera on social media essentially. That then will link you to the website, but you can, as you say, hopefully put the link in the comments as well. Hardback coffee table book, £25. £5 of that goes straight to Children's Hospital. And if you order now, we're expecting it to be printed and delivered by end of October. So just in time for Christmas. Any November, December birthdays. It's a nice little stocking filler. There you go.
I'll put a word in with the other half.
Yeah, I was just about to say,
No, really great to catch up with you, Pete. The first time we've met in person, but followed each other on social for a long time. And I've seen, as everyone has, these photos throughout the season.
It's been great. I've really enjoyed it.
When you said you were putting the book together, I instantly thought, we've got to do a podcast. We've got to talk through some of these pictures.
Great. And the feedback's been brilliant. I'm so grateful for it, honestly. I've had so many comments from people, home and abroad. Overseas Villa fans, all the Lions clubs, that sort of stuff. So absolutely chuffed with the response.
Good. As we said at the start, the link is in the description down below, so if you want to order yourselves a copy, I urge you to do so. Thank you for choosing to watch or listen to this episode of Claret and Blue. Pete, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Dan.
And we'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.